What's going on, everybody? This is Eric, Sobriety 365. I hope you guys are having a great morning. Today's video, this has just been something on my mind, and this video is for myself, but also for you guys, just to remember, the lies that we believe about drinking, and the information that's not out there that we do need to know that would change our perspective on it. One of the main important things I think that really help me get my longer periods of sobriety and keep me back on the kick or get back on it, um, on the horse, is to remember that there's this thing called dynorphin that gets released every time your brain is artificially stimulated, with any type of drug, but specifically, alcohol, cocaine, ecstasy, any type of, opiate drugs like that. They really release it heavy. But let's just talk about alcohol, because that's the problem that we all have been dealing with. And the more you drink, the more that this dynorphin stays in your brain. And this is coming from Annie Grace. A lot of my stuff comes from her as far as the science and stuff, because she already basically did all the research. But it's kind of a crazy thing, and it's so true. I've noticed those times where I've taken upwards of 2 months to up to 7 months off from drinking, and how much better you feel. And uh and as far as depression, because sometimes I remember just feeling my most depression and anxiety, and having, especially in my mid-20s, like having no clue that it was it was from this. And as soon as I gave up the drinking and stuff like that, it went away. At least the persistent, depression and anxiety and stuff like that. And yeah, so that's huge. So, and unfortunately, and it same goes through marijuana. Now, obviously, if you moderate and you just smoke a little bit of this and that's probably not going to bother you. But if you're smoking, I noticed at times in my life when I experimented with weed and I smoked all day and stuff, I would just feel groggy and depressed a lot the next day. So I gave that up. And even caffeine, you can overdo it. I'll still do 1 cup in the morning, but I've had times where I overdid that too, and it's the same thing. Um, so I think that's really, something really important to think about. Especially if you're someone who deals with anxiety and drinking and stuff like that. I mean, anxiety and depression and stuff like that. And that's a huge one for me, because then it really leads no point. Because a lot of times when I end up drinking, it's because I'm not feeling good that day. And once you realize that, one huge thing that helped me is once you realize that that's not going to help you, you just no longer look at it as an option. you know and so yeah. So that's a lie. Another lie is, they tell you, if you drink, another lie is how little, you know is drunk driving awareness is being promoted. You hear it every now and then, but people don't realize how heavy of a toll this is on our society. And but yet you watch commercials about beer and different liquors that are out there, and it shows people having a good time, and it never wants to show the negativity. But of course the advertisers don't. They all they care about is their profits. And I mean, the companies. And yeah, so I think the more you start telling yourself the truth about these things, the more that you're gonna change your perspective on them. And I know I certainly did. Even times when I relapsed and started drinking again, like, these things were all in my head, and I was just like, what am I doing? Luckily, I got to a point where I never drunk, and I used to drive drunk a little bit when I was younger, like an idiot. But I stopped doing that, and I haven't done that in a long time. Even if when I drink, I just know better. um Luckily with Uber and stuff like that, I think that definitely helps. But I still have friends that I know that they've never got a DUI, or they've never had any repercussions from drinking and driving. Still, they still do it. Unfortunately, like me, I got a reckless driving, but I was a little bit drunk, and I had to deal with those repercussions. That was like 5 years ago, and ever since then, I never even if I was drinking or not. I never drove drunk or anything, you know. But I have friends who never experienced anything like that or got any repercussions, so they continue to think that they're safe, you know. And it's a real sad thing, you know, because there's, you know, so many drunk drivers out on the road these days, and we know how lethal that can be, and it's a sad thing, and it's going to continue to happen until, you know, the world our world wakes up and stops promoting alcohol like it's this great thing. But that'll probably never change. Why? Because there's a shit ton of money in alcohol, you know, unfortunately, you know. But you know, so there's that. And, you know, a lot of times I used to drink because I thought, like, you know, it's a social lubricant, like, oh, it makes me a better, funnier version of me. But no, it takes away your you know, your inhibitions, and it makes you freaking say and do stupid things, and where you should have some fear and have some, you know, caution, you don't. And it goes hand in hand. I mean, you know, the most recent time I drank, I was at a birthday party. I didn't even really want to go, but I felt peer pressure to go, and I started having a few drinks or whatever. And then next, you know, my friends are like, shots, and I'm like, no, I don't really want to drink. And then next, you know, I'm being, you know, I'm drinking, and then some of the people had way too much, and it's the same thing. It starts off fun, then midway you see people, and then by the end of the night, some girls are crying and dudes are fighting, and some people are doing other drugs and stuff that they never even done before, even want to do. It's just the same old story, you know. So for me at this point in my life, at 30 years old, like, I've seen it, done it all. There's really no appeal to me anymore. And the only appeal I ever had was if I was having such a bad day that I didn't know what to do to get out of it, I would drink. But once you realize that, you know, the dynorphin and all those things, and then all the dumb things you do when you drink just stack your problems, even in your worst state, sometime you're like, you know, no, you know, I'm not going to do this. So, you know, that's another thing. That's another lie that the companies, you know, don't tell you. And I think the more that we, you know, challenge how we, you know, challenge our thoughts on alcohol and what they do, the more they change. And when I first started drinking, I didn't believe any of the things that I believe now. You know, I thought it was fun and it was normal and this and that. And it can be fun, you know, but, you know, there are certain people out there that, you know, I'm not going to say any names on certain podcasts that promote certain drug uses and drinking. And a lot of times they don't try to look at the downsides and stuff like that. And, you know, like I said, someone could be brilliant in one thing and retarded in the other. No offense I didn't mean to say retarded, but could be ignorant in the other. And so you can't always listen to one source for everything. You got to challenge people's perceptions and what they think. So, you know, so I think, you know, those are some huge reasons. And another is your health. I mean, you know, you can get, you know, all sorts of cancer, pancreatitis, you know, all different types of issues. I know people who, you know, had some serious health issues. You know, I lost my second aunt. She was like 58. She died of alcohol-related liver cirrhosis, and it's so true, you guys. Like, just like what they say, she started off just drinking a little bit, and then I remember as a kid, it slowly took her away. She had a great job, a home, lost the job, had to move in with my family, and then by the time she was dead, she was just living on, I think, her military widow pension or whatever they do in the military, and for ex-wives. And you know, she had some little crappy apartment, no job, no family, no one talked to her. Not because we didn't want to, but she just isolated herself. She probably was embarrassed, you know. She realized that the alcohol took over, and her own son found her and discovered her in her home, dead, just on her couch with the bottle in her hand. And by the time she was in her late stages of drinking, it only took a little alcohol to get her drunk. That's what happens. You're tolerant. It's a kind of a weird situation, but by the end of it, she probably wasn't even feeling anything, because that's what happens. Your body compensates and compensates, and your tolerance gets so high that eventually you no longer feel anything. But alcohol is such a destructive drug. Um, you know, it'll take you out. And I literally seen it. And so all the times I've drank in my life, I was always, I always knew that, but I always had that fear in the back of my head. I never wanted to be like that. And so I think that's why I've always been so conscious of quitting. And I've been since I was young, and that's why I never even used to drink when I was really young in the first place, because I seen what it did. My dad's an alcoholic. He's dying of all different types of issues right now, mainly uh, heart failure. That's what he says. We don't really speak too much, but he's only 50 years old, and that's still, when you're healthy, 50 is still a young age when you take care of yourself. So those are a lot of the lies, and alcohol is not what it's thought out to be. And another thing that I wanted to talk about in this video, those are kind of the main points for me. That's it. I mean, after knowing all that, like, there's no point for me to do it. But another one is just the certain friends, certain friends are going to try to get you out, and there's certain friends, I think everyone deep down knows that they should chill out. But there's going to be certain people who are going to try to push you and this and that, and that's where you just set boundaries. You don't got to ghost everyone and block anyone, but if you truly believe these things that I've learned from like Craig Breck and Annie Grace, and from my own experience, you're not gonna want to drink anyway. So your friends could try to peer pressure you, egg you on, but they're eventually going to see that they can't break you, and they'll leave you alone. So that's what I would say with that. You know, and it's just all about finding healthy ways to cope. Like me, my drinking was never, oh, I'm waking up, I need a drink. It's only ever been when I'm stressed out or I'm this and that. But once you realize that the drinking not only makes you more stressed and depressed, but also compounds your problems, there's really no reason to drink it, especially if you're somebody who really wants to live a good life. You're going to be like, you know what, this just doesn't make sense. So you fall off, you get back on the horse. And I have respect for anyone that's tried to quit or that's trying to quit, because it's not easy, especially with society and how it's being promoted. So with that said, guys, I just wish you guys well. You got sober September, sober October, whatever you want to call it. 60-day challenge, 30-day challenges, challenge yourself, whatever it is. I'm at the point these days where I don't necessarily want to count days of anything I'm doing, because it's all about changing that subconscious, and that's it. So thank you guys for watching. See ya.